I'm excited to share with you my final speech in this pathway. Yay! So debrief is also called evaluation. It's a very important and often overlooked component of everything we do. It is eclipsed by other things that take priority, regardless of what field we work in or what groups or clubs we're a part of in our personal lives. Today, my hope is to discuss the important elements of a comprehensive debrief, some tactics for facilitating an effective debrief, and the importance of building evaluation into every plan for every activity, every project that we do at work and in our personal lives. The elements of a debrief. I actually hope that any of you who take notes will truly take a minute to write 1 through 6 on a piece of paper. I spend a lot of time event planning, and whenever I start planning for an event, I return to the grid of an event or the evaluation components that I had put together for and from the previous time that I did that event. You can create the same type of plan using narrative. You can write out bullet points. You can make a grid just like I do. You can use an Excel spreadsheet. Whatever works for you, it all depends on the person. But every evaluation plan does need to include the following 6 elements in order to be comprehensive. Number 1, underlying assumptions, components, and context. This is the why you put this specific event, project, or activity together, and the internal and external forces that shaped that process. This reason needs to be in writing to ensure that the reasons you put the event together the way you did, the factors that shaped it, if those things are no longer in place somewhere down the line, you need to take note of that and the ways that those could change the way you do things. This also helps to ensure that you adhere to your mission and that you continue to be aware of the community around you that can and is impacted by the things that you do. Number 2, resources used to affect and support the effort. This includes your staff, it includes donations, it includes your budget, it includes your volunteer base, equipment you have available to you. Whatever the resources are that you're going to need in order to do the activity, the project, pull off the event, those need to be listed in your evaluation plan. Number 3, activities. This is where you list the things that you are actually going to do. Don't think about results just yet. We'll get there. Think about the project or activity itself. And in your evaluation, describe it in enough detail that somebody brand new could come in and put together that same activity without you there to guide the process. This piece helps with sustainability. You have to assume that you won't be in your position forever. This also helps in evaluating the activity later, having a detailed description of the thing that you did so that you can work to make it better. Number 4, results. Here's where I would encourage you to think about both outputs and outcomes. What is the immediate result of your activity, and what are the broader impacts of that result? I would also encourage you to think about short, intermediate, and long-term outputs and outcomes. As you continue to evaluate, this will help you to determine whether the things you hoped would happen as a result of your work are actually happening. Whether they are or not, as an evaluator, you need to know that. Number 5, facilitating factors and challenges. Funny enough, I think a lot of people make the mistake when they address this section. They know what things went wrong, what things they wish had gone differently, but they don't take stock of all the things that led to that. Sometimes it's because these things seem obvious. Of course, we would have a smaller event turnout if it snows the night of the event. But you can't assume that you're going to remember that that happened the next year, or that someone in your place will be able to explain that without you there to contribute to the conversation. People also make the mistake of addressing this only by discussing things that their team internally can do differently next time, when it's important to consider external factors too. Not everything that went wrong is something that can be addressed by a member of your team doing something differently. And number 6, recommendations for improvement. I actually include a blank section for notes from discussion after each event, and then I keep those notes for the next year when I start work on the project again. So every year you've got notes from year, and you're building a history into your evaluation. Evaluations should be living documents, and they should keep record of all the changes that you make to your projects. How many people have done the thing where somebody asks them about something they worked on years ago, and they don't have the answer to their question because they've moved on to more recent projects? How nice would it be to be able to just go to your living evaluation, see the topic they're referencing, and be able to say, yes, we did talk about doing this, and here's the reason we decided not to. You don't have to dig through your emails. You don't have to work to find that history. It's all there built right into the evaluation and the plan for the project. If you include all of these elements in your debrief strategy, you are going to ensure accountability. You're going to demonstrate that resources are being used as they are intended and that they're managed well. You're going to monitor and report on progress toward an established goal, and you'll be able to see potential problems early on so that you can address them. Knowing all of that, I did want to talk about tactics for facilitating an effective debrief. It's one thing to put together a well-structured living document. It's another thing to get people into a room to talk through these components. And there are several tactics I'd like to share with you that I hope will help you. Tactic number 1, get the right people to the table. It's important to remember that the people involved in any evaluation are imperative to the success of that evaluation. You need to make sure that the most invested and the most influential stakeholders are a part of the debrief. Sometimes this is a small group. Sometimes it will need to be a large group of people from across the community, but the people who do the evaluating matter to the evaluation. Tactic number 2, use metrics, not just opinions and feelings, to create a strategy going forward or to develop your current strategy. This is especially important when things haven't gone so well. Using metrics can help to ground an evaluation and to temper sore feelings about a less than successful event or project. Tactic number 3, use everyone's time wisely and well. I see you, Carpico. Come to the debrief organized and prepared. You want to facilitate a productive discussion. Sometimes that means your debriefs will be very short. The length of time you spend talking about something doesn't necessarily determine whether or not the discussion is valuable. If you come to a debrief with an agenda, a plan to discuss key project components, and with questions for the group that will yield helpful comments, you could have a 20-minute meeting and still have an improved strategy when you all leave. And the 4th thing I wanted to mention to you all, be prepared for the possibility that an evaluation will yield the conclusion that an event or project has run its course and shouldn't continue. This conclusion does not mean that you failed to facilitate a good debrief. I would also advise you to make sure that you don't try to combine the evaluation of one event and the generation of a new one into the same meeting. You don't want to begin a project with the same goals as a failed project without fully considering why the original project failed, whether the objectives of that project had a hand in its failure, and what steps you need to take in order to prevent a repeat of those mistakes. Your evaluation of a failed project will pertain to the discussion about next steps, but finish your evaluation, regroup, put all the right people around the table to build something new together, and schedule a different meeting to begin that conversation. To wrap things up, I wanted to end with the importance of building evaluation into your strategy and into your plans. When you're planning anything, if you don't build the ways that you're going to evaluate the thing you're building into the plan, then you will never develop or improve your strategy. It's rare nowadays to see people sustain anything without working to change it for the better. And even if it was possible, I would hope that this group of community leaders would share my view that nothing is ever good enough. There's always room to improve, and we improve by evaluating the things we do and looking for opportunities to do them better. I hope this speech has given you the opportunity to think about your current evaluation processes, and that I've successfully encouraged you to think about debriefs as being more important, more of a priority. It is truly our opportunity to improve the work we do and to build that mentality into the teams that we lead. I appreciate your time.